Hi, it's Gordon, Fat Old Climber, and 3 months ago today I started taking this, Mounjaro. And I want to take you through what the last 3 months have been like. This one's going to be a longer video, so I'll have chapter markers at the bottom, but I want to talk you through a bit of background in terms of where I was 3 months ago. I want to talk to you about why I chose to start taking Mounjaro. I want to give you some background in terms of what it is and how it works. Want to talk to you about the results I've had, side effects I've had. Going to talk to you about the difference it's making to my climbing, which is one of the main reasons I want to lose weight anyway. And then wrap up with what's next. So without further ado, as almost everyone in YouTube says, let's get started. 3 months ago, or the 11th of October to be exact, I was at my wit's end. I've been trying to get control of my weight for well over 10 years. And in that time, I've had a lot of success. I've tried a lot of things. I've lost a lot of weight, but I've never had anything which has been sustainable. I've tried some quite extreme diets, intermittent fasting, carnivore diet. And as I say, they've all worked, but I found it really hard to keep them working, and therefore they've slipped. The pandemic was also an absolute nightmare for my weight. And during the pandemic, I reached an all-time high of 323 pounds. That's 146 kilos, or just over 23 stone. About 4 months ago, I was trying to get control of it again and had started counting calories, and it was working. And information on appetite suppressant drugs came my way from 3 different routes. A friend of mine mentioned Ozempic to me. Someone I work with had been starting to take Ozempic, and Mark Lewis, a person I follow on YouTube, had started taking Mounjaro. I looked into them at the time and I was intrigued, let's say, but I was committed to trying to make my weight loss attempts work, and decided I wasn't going to do anything. For 3-4 weeks, I lost weight consistently, and then it went out the window again and I started putting weight. So I made the decision I was going to at least try Mounjaro. And I found a supplier in the UK, medexpress.co.uk, and ordered it. Now, you may or may not know it's not available on the NHS. I think if you're a diabetic and have other underlying conditions, it's possible to get it on NHS, but that didn't apply to me. So it was a tough decision to take the plunge because it's not cheap. For those of you that don't know what Mounjaro is, it's one of a family of drugs that are out there. Ozempic and Wegovy being the other 2 common ones. They're similar but not the same. They're both GLP-1 agonists. Mounjaro is a dual agonist for both GLP-1 and GIP receptors. Fundamentally, Mounjaro, it works to improve metabolic health in a number of ways. Firstly, it acts on cells in the pancreas to secrete insulin, which has an impact on how hungry you feel. It also acts on the hypothalamus in the brain to help appetite and food noise, which, to be honest, was one of my biggest problems. And it also has an impact on the immune cells. It works to decrease inflammation by decreasing the production of cells which promote inflammation. It physically reduces the appetite. It mentally reduces the appetite and food noise, that little internal voice telling you to eat that last bit of cake. And it has other impacts, for example, reducing inflammation. So why did I choose Mounjaro over Ozempic? Well, I did my normal amount of research into these things, and from a GLP-1 point of view, Ozempic and Mounjaro has little difference, but a lot of the research and a lot of the evidence suggests that Mounjaro has a greater impact on weight loss, and since that's what I was looking for, I chose Mounjaro over Ozempic. And 3 months ago, this pen arrived, the 2.5 milligram pen, which is the starter dose, and I took my first injection. The effect wasn't immediate, but the next day, everything changed. I found within 1 day, my focus on eating had gone. I wasn't hungry when I would normally have been hungry. I wasn't thinking about food all the time. A really strange thing happened, which might not sound strange to a lot of people. I had run out of milk, so I went to the local shop and I picked up some milk, and I went in, got the milk and left, and it didn't even occur to me to buy biscuits or crisps or chocolate, something that would often have happened. And it wasn't that I resisted the urge to get it, it didn't even occur to me. Eating wise, I've been following an intermittent fasting diet for a long time. It just works with my timing. So I don't normally eat anything until 4 p.m. And on day 2, 5 p.m. came before I realised I hadn't eaten. So I was actually thinking I should eat rather than I want to eat. On week 1, I lost 9 pounds. Now, anyone who's dieted knows that you typically lose a lot more in the first week than the consecutive weeks, but second week I lost 7 pounds. So not only did it work quickly, it worked well. So what I would say is almost instantaneously my thought processes regarding food changed. I went from being hungry fairly often and having to satisfy my hunger with eating more portion-wise than I probably should, snacking between meals. I don't sleep very well, so in the middle of the night, the little internal voice would be asking me to rummage around for food, and sometimes there would be snacks I would eat, sometimes I would defrost something to eat it. If I went to the shop, it was almost unheard of for me not to buy biscuits or crisps. When I went climbing and had a coffee, I really had to fight the urge to have cake, and I failed the fight quite often, so I had cake, and all of that disappeared. The noise quietened, the appetite disappeared, and I found that I had to actually start thinking about food as fuel. So for example, I would be eating thinking I should eat rather than I want to eat, because although I wasn't hungry, my body still needs energy and my body still needs nutrients. And climbing, for example, if I went climbing and I had a hard session, I burn a lot of energy. So I started doing things like, before I went climbing, I would eat in order to have the energy to climb rather than because I was hungry. But all of that being said, the biggest change was the internal voice disappearing. The biggest change was the almost uncontrollable urge to snack. I would say, with the exception of a couple of nights out I've had with people, or games nights, or visiting friends where there were snacks on the table, in the last 3 months I haven't snacked at all. It's an incredible change. So what about side effects? There are a lot of side effects that people can get. One of the friends who recommended Ozempic to me had to give it up within 2 weeks. She felt so nauseous. I would say I've had no major side effects at all. What I typically find is on the day I take the injection, I find my mouth quite dry. That's fairly consistent. And probably when I upped the dose to 5 milligrams, maybe it was 7.5 milligrams, I noticed I was constipated quite a lot. But aside from that, I haven't really had any side effects that I can identify. I started on the 2.5 milligrams, which is what you're supposed to do, and the recommendation is you up the dose as your body gets used to it, so until you find the level which is working for you, whatever your objective is, which for me is weight loss. So I went from the 2.5 milligrams and I upped it to 5 milligrams a month later. Towards the end of the 5 milligrams, I noticed the little voice creeping back, and I was hungry a couple of times. So a week early, I upped the dose to 7.5 milligrams. And then for the last month, I've been using the 5 milligrams pen. I've ordered a 10 milligrams pen, but I'm not going to up my dose. I'll explain that later. So these pens are designed, according to the manufacturer, for 4 doses. And when I looked into it, I was finding a lot of chatter on the internet about the fact that when you use the 4 doses, there's at least another dose left over. The manufacturer states that this is not injectable. Everything I looked into suggests that it actually is, and it's more likely to be a manufacturing process that causes it. I made the decision when I was looking into it that I was going to take the 5th dose. When you've had your 4 doses, the mechanism of the pen stops working. But I found online a way to force the pen, and I tried that. I didn't really like the idea of it. You're breaking the pen. It didn't really work as well as I thought it would. So what I do instead is I've ordered some insulin pens, and I use an insulin pen to extract the 5th dose. Also, the other piece of information out there, which is basically about saving money, is how you can buy a higher dose pen and take a reduced dose. So I'm currently on the 7.5 milligrams. My new pen will be a 10 milligram pen, but what I intend to do is to only use 7.5 milligrams per dose. And if you want to find out how I'm going to do that, I'll link a video up here. All these videos will also be in the description. So the maximum dosage you can get on a pen is 15 milligrams. And if I don't have to increase from my 7.5 milligrams, what that means is I'll be able to get 10 doses from my 15 milligram pen once I'm up there. So what has all that meant weight loss wise? Well, in the 3 months since I started taking Mounjaro, I've lost an incredible 45 pounds, which is 3 stone 3 pounds, or 20 kilos, which is 15% of my body weight. An incredible amount to lose in 3 months. And also I've lost 7.5 inches around my waist, which is 19 centimeters. Again, incredible. But it's not that it's worked, because as I say, I've lost weight before. It's how easy it's been for it to work. I'm not having to work on it. If anything, I'm having to focus on eating to make sure I have energy. If you're interested in knowing what I've been eating, I'll link a video up here which talks through my weird and simple diet. I'm very lazy, so I opted the most simple diet I could, which was giving me nutrients and calories. So you can see from the before and after photos how big a difference has been made in the last 3 months. By the way, these are the same clothes, possibly different shorts, but the t-shirt is the same. I've been aware of losing weight and changing shape, but until I saw these photos together, I hadn't quite appreciated how big a difference it was. I'm very pleased. So what has this meant? Other than general health considerations, my main reason for wanting to lose weight was for climbing. And all I can say is in the last 3 months, the difference it's made to my climbing is incredible. It's dramatically impacted my ability to climb. I've sent my first 6B V4. 3 months ago, I was struggling to climb V2s, F6As. And now I'm really pushing the grade. I'm climbing climbs I wouldn't even have considered climbing before. But also, I feel better generally. My knees, whilst they sometimes hurt again when I climb, my knees were always impacting me. I was always having to take painkillers. And in the last 3 months, my knees have improved dramatically. I'm very rarely feeling the pain unless I've had a really hard session or if I've been walking a lot. My blood pressure has reduced and continues to reduce. And also the swelling that I've been getting in my ankles has disappeared entirely. So not only has my reason for starting to take Mounjaro realised itself in terms of improving my climbing, I generally feel so much better. I cannot stress how delighted I am to have discovered Mounjaro and to make the decision to have started taking it. So what's next? Well, I have no intention of stopping. I think at my weight, it's not unreasonable to assume I could lose the same again. So at the moment, my plan is to keep going for another 3 months and continue to reap the benefits. I'm going to stick to 7.5 milligrams, although as explained, I'll up the dose of my prescription. And while that's working, I won't up it to 10 milligrams. I'm going to worry about coming off the drug when that time comes. I don't envisage that being within the next 3 months. I'm hoping that I'll have picked, in those 6 months, I'll have picked up a completely different set of habits and my relationship with food will have changed. I will wean myself off rather than just stop it dead, and I'm hoping that that will work effectively. But my main thing is 45 pounds off now, looking forward to the next 45 pounds and the difference that will make. I can't wait to find out how my climbing improves over the next 3 months. I'm currently sitting at 18 stone 8 and my short-term goal is 17 stone 3. What that will be, it will be the lightest I've ever climbed. And once I get below that, I'm in uncharted territory. I'm really excited to find out what difference that will make to my climbing. Should you get Mounjaro? I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know what your situation is. Am I glad I did? Absolutely. You need to make your own choices. You need to do your own research. Is it right for you? Who knows? Also, the other thing to note is results may vary. There's a lot of information out there that people that are losing significantly more than me, and a lot of people losing significantly less. What I would say is I think the difference is in why you're overweight. I've not really been overweight because I have a massive appetite. I've been overweight because I have a habit of eating and snacking, eating the wrong things, eating too much, eating at weird hours. And the fact that it changed how I think about food, I think is what made the biggest difference. All I would say is, it certainly wouldn't be my first choice, but all I would say is if you've been trying to lose weight, if you're struggling to lose weight, if you're unhealthily heavy, it's worthwhile looking into. Try it. The worst thing that will happen is you try it and it doesn't work, or you don't like it, or you get side effects and you stop it. I couldn't be more delighted that I tried it. Let me know what you think. Have you been trying to lose weight? Is it something you'd consider? Is it something you don't want to do? Tell me in the comment. If there's anything I haven't answered in this video and you would like me to answer any questions, then ask away. Just drop me a comment asking. I found it quite an interesting process to vlog about this, and it's been useful to me to keep my head straight, and it's been useful to me to do a lot of research and make my own decisions. There's a lot of points of view out there about these drugs, some good, some bad. All I would say is don't be swayed by them. You have to do what's right for you, and I'm doing what's right for me. So I think that's it. I've got a video I'll post next week on how the process of using the syringes works to extract the 5th dose, and I'll keep you posted as things progress. The frequency of the reviews might reduce as time goes on, but an absolute minimum I'll do a monthly update on how things are going. As ever, thanks for watching. If you've got anything to ask, anything to say, drop me in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, and from a thinner old climber, thank you.